Hi, this is Nick from the MTGNoob.com with a video in a series devoted to new players of Magic the Gathering Online. In this video, I'll discuss how to set your stops. Magic decides which player gets to act and when based on priority. Only a player with priority may cast a spell. Priority passes between players during a number of phases and steps in the game. When you play with paper cards, most players only acknowledge moving through the major steps in the game. In Magic Online, it's hard to be that informal, so the game requires each player to manually OK moving to the next step. Stops are Magic Online's way of giving players the opportunity to reduce the number of times they have to manually pass priority. By setting a stop, you're telling the game that you'd like to get priority during that step of the turn. If you don't set a stop, you're saying I automatically yield priority during those steps. So let's look at some of the options for stops. First of all, to find your stops, go to Menu, Settings, Gameplay. You will see a menu looks like this one. A lot of players play with all of the stops on and just manually OK or use shortcuts to move through all of them. If you want to just set the major ones, my recommendations are the main phases on your turn. So that's where you're going to cast your creatures and your non-instant spells. So enchantments, artifacts, planeswalkers, sorceries, anything that you have to play during the main phase. Declare attackers phase. This is where you would need to deal with creatures before they can block your attackers. So maybe with Feeling of Dread to tap down blockers. Declare blockers phase is where you'll play your combat tricks, something like a Titanic Growth, so you'll want to have priority there to be able to do that. On your opponent's turn, some of the key stops to have set are the beginning of combat. This is where you would your last chance to tap or destroy a creature before it's declared as an attacker. The declare attackers phase, this is where you could add some extra blockers to the mix, maybe by tapping Bloodline Keeper to put a token on the battlefield and then block with that in the declare blockers phase. Midnight Haunting or anything like that. That's an instant spell that puts some tokens on the battlefield. Wolfear Avenger or a similar creature with flash are all things you could play at that point. Declare blockers. You want to have that set to remove creatures before they apply damage and to do your defensive combat tricks. And then the end step is where you will want to use or lose your mana, something like card draw and think twice, or an ability like Nephalia Drown Yard to mill your opponent. There's a lot of options of this kind of thing. So as I mentioned, there's some shortcuts. If you hit F2 is basically the same as saying OK. F4 passes priority until the end of your turn unless a spell or ability goes on the stack. Unless if your opponent was to play an instant or something like that, you'd automatically get a chance to respond. F6 passes priority until the end of the turn regardless of what your opponent does. Don't really recommend hitting this one because there's a lot of mistakes that can be made there. Accidentally F6 through your turn, your opponent plays something, you don't have a chance to respond. But if you're tapped out or something of that nature, not as big a deal. F3 cancels either F4 or F6. If you hit it fast enough, this can be kind of iffy. Wouldn't count on it. And if you hold control down while you cast a spell, you retain priority, so you can cast multiple spells in a row. So that's some high-level information about stops. In a future video, I'll show you how you can manually add and remove stops during the course of a game. So until then, I hope this was helpful. You can leave comments for me here at the mtgnoob.com, either attached to the video or in the forums. On YouTube, if this video is on YouTube, you can leave comments there. You can reach out to me at Twitter at Mr. Vigabool, or in Magic Online, my screen name is Random Dragon. Thanks for watching.